If you were to ask me to create a list of some of the best educational books I've ever read, and I mean educational in like a purely educational sense. We're not talking self-help books or a fictional book where you learn something from it. I'm talking purely a book that tries to teach you a skill. Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain by Betty Edwards has to be on that list. This is a book that completely blew my mind in terms of what could be taught purely with text without having somebody next to you teaching you how to do something. And this book, Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain, is better than I think any art class I've ever had to take in school. Now, this book I would recommend to anybody who has a serious interest in art, anybody who has a serious interest in getting good at art, or even somebody who just wants to have, the basic skills. You want to be good enough to where people would look at your drawings and say, okay, they've put some time into this, or, just being good enough to where you can convey some of your ideas. Whatever spectrum, wherever you lie on that spectrum, this book is for you. It is the Bible of drawing as far as I'm concerned. And this would apply to whatever medium you're interested in. If you're interested in traditional art or if you're interested in digital art, either one, this book is the book you need to start with. And unfortunately, reading online, this book tends to get a lot of criticism, but I think it's for all the wrong reasons. They criticize the minutia of this book rather than just looking at the book in its totality and judging whether or not it's valuable or invaluable. And most of the criticism I've seen just stems from what's in the title, Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain. She goes into left brain versus right brain and how one's more logical and one's more artistic. And people who do reviews on this book will say, oh, all that's bullshit. It's not really real. And okay, it might not be, but who cares? If it teaches you how to draw and all the right brain, left brain stuff is bullshit, who really cares? The point is that it teaches you how to draw, and I think it does it better than any other resource I've encountered. It starts out with drawing as a teachable, learnable skill. And I think this is extremely important because so many people with certain things don't even get started. They don't even attempt to try and get good at the thing because they assume that it's a genetic thing or that they aren't that type of person. And this seems to be really prevalent with certain fields like art or math or certain subjects like computer science. And I'm actually a part of that. When I first started computer science, when I first started programming, I thought, I don't think my brain is made for this. I don't think this is something I can do. So I actually dropped out of CS, and it wasn't until like 3 or 4 years later that I decided to get back into programming. But the important point is that people look at certain things as if they just can't do it, as if they were just born as a person, and that person that they are just cannot do this thing. And I think that is completely wrong, especially if you're talking about art. This has nothing to do with how you were born. If you can hold the pencil and you can see, you can draw. This is a teachable, learnable skill, and Betty Edwards proves it. And one interesting fact that I didn't know until I read this book was that Vincent van Gogh, one of the most famous artists ever, a household name as far as artists go, started at age 27. He didn't start until he was 27 years old. That's how old I am right now. And I think he only did art for another 10 years before he died. And in this book, Betty actually shows some of Vincent van Gogh's early drawings, some of his later drawings, and you can actually see him struggle through some of these fundamental concepts. You see somebody that that if you've taken an art class, you've studied his work, you've probably even tried to recreate some of his work. And in this book, it shows you him struggling with some of the things you're going to learn. The most important aspect of this book is that it teaches you the fundamentals of how to draw. If you've ever done anything where you have to develop a skill, a sport, something like drawing, you understand the importance of fundamentals. You have to get the fundamentals mastered and learned, and you have to know what they are before you can start working on actual work. You have to know how to dribble. You have to know how to move with the ball. You can't do all the flashy stuff if you don't work on the fundamentals. And this is what this book does. It teaches you the fundamentals. it talks about tools that didn't exist. Vincent van Gogh discovering a tool that made drawing and painting easier. That before he discovered that, it was just open territory. Like, there was no, oh, this is how you convert the 3D world into 2D. But then Vincent van Gogh discovers this thing called the picture plane, and he writes this letter to his brother Theo van Gogh saying, I went to this blacksmith, he created this picture plane for me, and it allows you to draw and paint faster than ever. You can see him discovering like a simple machine, a basic tool. And this is stuff that now we take for granted. And if you read this book, you will never have to know what it was like before the picture plane. But the important part, like I said, is that it teaches the fundamentals. This is one thing that I dislike about a lot of YouTube videos. If you go on YouTube, there will be YouTube videos, artistic videos, instructional tutorials that have titles like how to draw hair, how to draw frogs, how to draw a microphone, stuff like that. But that's not how you learn how to draw. That would be like teaching somebody how to walk, like teaching a baby how to walk, but then you say, okay, I'm going to teach you how to walk on grass. Then I'm going to teach you how to walk on carpet. Then I'm going to teach you how to walk on concrete. It's like, no, if you know how to walk, the surface is somewhat irrelevant. Yeah, there's a little nuance there, but the most important point is that you know how to walk, rather than trying to teach somebody how to walk on concrete, then teach them how to walk on grass. It's like you teach them how to walk, and then you go from there. So if you're looking on YouTube, if you try to learn how to draw and you see people who make videos like that, that's kind of a bad sign. I think they're approaching it the completely incorrect way, and Betty Edwards reduces it to the fundamentals so that you literally understand how to draw, that you can watch somebody who is drawing, who knows how to draw, and you see the process that they're working through because you've been introduced to the fundamentals. It is the most important part of learning how to draw, in my opinion, because even now, even if I don't practice, even if I were to go 4 or 5 years, those fundamentals, the instruction, just the way she describes it, the way to break down complex subject matter into smaller, approachable steps, that sticks with you forever. There's no mystery anymore. That's the learnable part about this, is that it seems like a mystery. You watch somebody like Bob Ross create a piece of artwork and you're just in awe. But then when Betty breaks it down, you realize, oh, this is how this works. It's no longer a mystery. So she does this in a variety of ways. There are a variety of exercises and just different approaches to drawing that gives you a toolkit to approach drawing and to actually take things and convert them into 2D or into a 3D looking drawing. Now, as far as the book goes, the best part about it is that there aren't a lot of materials needed. It's not like you're going to buy this book and then first page it says, okay, buy these 100 things. And before you know it, you're $200 in the hole and you're like, okay, I don't even know if I'm interested in drawing. And now I'm back, a pretty considerable investment. It's not like that at all. There's a couple things you'll make, but you're talking $10, $20. Like, it's not that big. But even until you get to that point, you're pretty much okay with a pen or a pencil, paper, and eraser. That's really all you need. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and show you some of the work that I've done, because it's crazy how quickly you can go from obviously looking like you have no idea what you're doing to this person at least has taken time to practice drawing. It's insane. You go in the book, there are before and after images of classes that she does all around the nation, and you'll see people do self-portraits before they start the class and then after they start the class, 4 days apart, and the difference between them you would think would take months, like at the very least weeks, but you wouldn't be surprised if it took months. And when you look at the dates, it's a matter of 3 or 4 days. It really is crazy. Like I said, this is one of the best books I've ever read. I heard it recommended a few times, finally got my hands on it, started working through it, and like I said, I could not believe how much she was able to explain to me just through text. In an age where you have YouTube videos, where you have screencasts, where you have the ability to Skype or Google Hangout with teachers, And all you need is drawing on the right side of the brain. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and show you some of the works that I did within the book, and then some works that I've done outside of it. So if you're interested in drawing, there's a link to the book below. Let me know what you think, and here we go. All right, so I apologize for the quality of some of my images. I don't have a scanner, but the point here is that you're just going to see the improvement with some of my drawings as I went through this book. So this first one is a self-portrait that you do without any reference. So you don't look at a picture of yourself, you don't look at yourself in a mirror, you literally just draw yourself from memory. Obviously, not that great. After that, you draw another self-portrait, and this one you actually get to use a picture. You look in the mirror, you actually have some sort of reference. Again, still not great, but these two self-portraits that you do are before you work through any parts of the book. So it's your literal before drawings so that you have some sort of benchmark for your after drawings. After this, you do some of these exercises. This one, you copy a Pablo Picasso piece, and you actually copy it upside down, because one of the things you learn is that when you're drawing something like hands, the second your brain realizes you're drawing a hand, it tries to take over. You don't really draw what you're seeing on the page. You start drawing what you think a hand looks like. And this exercise tries to break that habit. So it flips the image upside down, which makes it hard for your brain to recognize what you're looking at. And you draw the image upside down. And the entire time you're drawing it, you're like, there's no way I'm going to have a good drawing as a result of this when my reference is literally upside down. But the second you finish it, turn it upside down, you realize you're actually much closer than you think you were. Moving on from this, I did a drawing in my living room. I think this was just a perspective drawing. You're just trying to create some depth, keep proportions of all the different things within the picture. So like the door relative to the bookcase, relative to the walls and all that. Getting a little bit better here. I was proud with some of the depth I was able to achieve here. Still not perfect, but like I said, improving. Following that, you do this study of a pretty recognizable famous work. I forget who did it, but you're drawing in the opposite direction here. So rather than drawing this image, what you do is you take the charcoal, basically make your entire page black, and then you draw through erasing. So you're basically reversing the process. There's a couple more, but after you do all of those, you basically go back to the beginning and you redo the self-portrait to see how far you've come. And this is the self-portrait I did at the end of the book. Still not perfect, still not amazing, but way better than what I started with. And again, you have to remember there's no hands-on instruction. There's nobody next to me teaching this. All I did was read text, draw, and I went from those two images before, those two self-portraits, to this. And then just to show you a couple more pieces I've done since then, I did this piece of a plague doctor, heavy pen work here. I drew it first, and then I did pen over after the fact. I also did these studies of some Renaissance statues. And then here finally is the very first digital piece I ever did. I took a screenshot out of a music video that I really liked and decided to recreate it digitally using a Wacom tablet. So again, I was transitioning from traditional media to digital media, but I went past just drawing and a little bit of shading to actually fully colorizing this piece. So I was very happy with this, and this was when I really felt like, okay, this is something I can actually do and actually get good at. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Like I said, this is one of the best books I've ever read in my life. I highly recommend it if you're interested in art whatsoever, whether or not you just want to get a little good or get really, really good. I think this is a great place to start. And as always, guys, if you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate a like, a subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you've tried it, let me see some of your work. And thanks.